Hi, I'm Kili, also known as Kelly.
And I'm Feely, also known as Alex.
Welcome to our corner of the Shire,
Where we will show you how to bring Middle Earth
into your daily life to keep you
a happy hobbit.
Welcome to this episode of Happy Hobbit, where we are going to learn how to make Samwise's strawberry cream puffs. Because, as I'm sure all of you remember, at the end of all things, it was Sam who was dreaming of the Shire and of springtime and of having the first of the ripe strawberries in the cream. So this recipe is a little bit more complicated than some of the other recipes that we've shown you, but that doesn't mean it's more difficult. It's just different. There's a lot of different steps involved. The first step is procuring your strawberries. So if you live in the Shire like we do, that means walking for about an hour on foot and having a couple little adventures on your way to the local Mitchell Delving Farmers Market. And that's where we got these beautiful plum strawberries from. And we're lucky that we live in the California corner of the Shire, where we have a lot of fresh produce all the time. So once you have your strawberries from wherever you've chosen to purchase them, you will need to start assembling the puff. So the 3 stages of this recipe are the strawberry, which you don't really do much for, you just slice them up, the puff, which we're about to do, and then the cream, which I'll show you once we're done with the puff. So to make the puff, you have 1 cup of water in a medium saucepan, 1 cup of flour, 4 large eggs, as you can see these came from our chickens who you've all met before, 1 stick of butter, or half a cup of butter. This is sweetened unsalted butter. I'm sorry it's not melted, but it will be melted soon. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. The first thing you do is melt your butter with your water, and you're gonna let that all come together and wait until it comes to a full boil. So I'm adding a little bit of sugar, a tablespoon of sugar, because this is a dessert. Sometimes the puff and the puff pastry can be for something savory, but this time we're doing it for something sweet, so I just added a tablespoon of sugar. So I have it boiling over medium heat. I'm going to turn that off, remove it from the heat, and you probably want to use a wooden spoon with this. I don't know why. It's just easier, I think, for the grains of the wood to deal with this dough. So now I'm going to sift in my flour and salt. And then I'm going to stir it up. All clumpy right now. But what's going to happen is I'm going to turn this to medium heat and continue to cook it until it gets shiny and starts to pull away from the edges of the pan, which takes about 3 minutes. So you're gonna want to sit here messing with it, stirring it, and keeping an eye on it during that time. See, it totally looks like mashed potatoes.
Samwise loves his potatoes too.
As soon as it starts pulling away from the pan, you'll know it's ready. So this is a very simple type of bread. So as you can see, it's shiny and it's pulling away from the sides of the pan. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the eggs, which I'm going to wash because they're from our chickens. So because I'm impatient, I'm going to transfer the dough to a mixing bowl instead of waiting for the pan to cool. And this is where I will add my eggs. And it still kind of smells like seasoned mashed potatoes, really buttery mashed potatoes.
It smells really good.
Alright, so I'm going to let it cool off a little, see all that steam escaping.
It's like Smaug's shower.
What you're doing is you're spreading it out and increasing its surface area so that the moisture molecules of the hydrogen and the oxygen bonds that have been broken are escaping. So what you see are free molecules, radical molecules escaping all over the place because their bonds are so tenuous that a little bit of heat is all it takes for them to just fly off. So that's what steam is, boys and girls. And this, there you go. You're witnessing destruction. Those are molecules breaking apart and steaming away. So one of the reasons you want this cool is because when you're adding eggs, you don't want any recipe when you're adding eggs to something heated, you know what's going to happen when you combine an egg and heat. It's going to scramble. So you need to make sure that your batter's cooled a bit before you add your egg. These eggs are at room temperature, so this batter's still a bit warmer than them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3. And, well, actually, I'll start by adding 2 and see where the dough is at, because you don't want the dough to get too moist. And since these are large eggs, even though the recipe calls for large eggs, our chickens might be bigger than the chickens they have in the Shire. So it's definitely moister, but it's still holding together. So after a lot of mixing, it's held back up together. I'm gonna add, you're supposed to actually add eggs one at a time and mix well, but you know. I want my cream puffs! I'm not gonna wait around all day! The egg in this recipe is the leavening, which means it is the ingredient that is going to make the dough rise while it's cooking. Now, as always, mixing is a great workout. And this is pretty sticky, so I think I'm actually going to hold off on the last egg. Because I want this dough to stay together still. So you can use a pastry bag for this, but like I said, I don't want to go through that trouble. Pastry bags are annoying to clean. So I'm just using a large spoon, and I'm dropping about 2 inches worth of dough onto wax paper. And then what I'm going to do is, once I have a lot of these, you dip your fingers in water and sort of smooth out the top. That way it won't stick to you so much and it'll give it a nice appearance. There we go. Looks like a happy little camper there. In the middle of Lake Town. Got a little wet. It got a little wet. So I can do these about 2 inches apart. And I'm going to wait until I have more of them on the pan before I smooth the tops of the rest. I'm just using my pinky here.
But what if you want to use your middle finger?
That would be quite rude. Another thing you can do, either in place of the water or in addition to the water, is scramble up a raw egg and then brush the yolk over the top of these, and that'll give it a nice shimmering look. That's especially good to do if you're doing these for part of a dinner. But I am making a dessert and I already have plans for what to do to the tops of these that don't include it being shiny. So I'm at peace. I'm at peace right now with that thing. With keeping that little egg left over. And that little egg, that little white egg, the one that's left, that actually came from one of the hens that you met as a baby chick. That's right, she was raised by Smaug. And that's why it's small, because she's not quite all the way grown up yet. So now you put these in the oven for 15 minutes at 400 degrees. And you want to put them in the middle if you can, so shift around your racks. There we go. I always put things in for less than the time that the cookbooks tell you, and check on them. Because depending on how your oven cooks, something could get overdone really quickly. And our oven has a mind of its own, and sometimes it'll just decide that it's gonna burn something when you only put it in for 2 more minutes longer. So it's good to keep an eye on things and try to, you know, build a relationship with your oven, get to know it a little. So to prepare the strawberries while your puffs are cooking, just slice off the top. Now, I've seen people who like chop off the top here. That's just obscene. You want to eat as much of the strawberry as you can. So just slice off as little as you can, just to get the green head off. Then you're going to cut them lengthwise, because we're going to be placing these on top of our cream filling, making little sandwiches. So these strawberry tops I'm going to set aside for the chickens, because they love to eat things like this. And strawberries are something that's safe to feed them. Not all things are chicken friendly. for example, apple seeds are poisonous to chickens, so you should never give your chicken an apple with the core still in it. So after about 15 minutes, which is about to happen, you're going to lower the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and cook for 30 to 35 more minutes. This will give them extra time to puff up into brown. Put it in for 30. So I have 2 trays of puff pastry that I haven't, I've only doing one, and I can't exactly do them at the same time now that this one is at a different stage in its development. So what I realized is since Sam's food doesn't, Sam enjoys eating, so a lot of his recipes aren't, geared towards saving the food. They're geared towards food that needs to be consumed at night, especially these treats. They don't keep well. So what I'm going to do is bake up my second sheet of puff pastry and save those for tomorrow and not assemble the sandwiches with those until later when we're ready to eat them. But these ones, I definitely will. So these have only been in for 10 minutes at 350 degrees instead of 30, but I just checked on them. And they're already brown, and I touched one and they're crispy and dry. So I don't want them to burn. And contrary to what the recipe says, I'm pulling them out, and look at that. Hey, look. Those are definitely done. So like I said, it all kind of depends on the mood your oven's in. So now that our puffs are done, it's time to make the cream. You have several different options for this. The cream I'm going to make is, I'm just going to take a pint or 2 cups of heavy cream and whip it with some vanilla and a little bit of sugar. Some people, however, like to combine vanilla instant pudding mix with heavy cream and milk to make their pastry cream. It depends on how rich you want your dessert to be. Samwise, I have a feeling, would probably prefer this one because he wouldn't have had instant pudding mix, and he would have definitely have had access to cream from cow's milk. Because as we've seen, there's cows in the Shire. Like, look at this one jumping over the moon. Like, Beaufort likes to sing songs about cows and moons and plates and stuff. Look how thick that is. I mean, this is basically just whipped cream.
Except tastes much better than that canned.
Oh, that canned chemical crap?
Yeah.
CCC, canned chemical crap. That's right, I said it.
So, as we've revealed in the past, when it comes to vanilla, we don't really measure.
I like to let it purposefully spill over.
That was feeling not me if the voice sounded like it came from somewhere else.
So that's probably about 3 teaspoons. Then there's a little on my fingers. Perfume, free perfume.
So, now that there's a lot of vanilla in there, it's time to mix it. Get the camera away, please. I don't want it to get splattered.
So I'm going to put this on high and gradually add the sugar.
This for a couple minutes. As you can see, it's quite the messy endeavor here. And it is starting to stiffen up. I don't want it to get too stiff because it could turn into like butter. So you want it to be a little bit thicker than yogurt so that it holds its own. We're almost there. It's stiff enough. You don't want to over whip it, so this is good.
Vanilla. That's better than any CCC. So now the moment has come. It's time for assembly. I'm feeling like these are a little bit smaller than they could be. So when you make these at home, feel free to use a little bit more generous, no, Sean Connery, more generous portions when you make them. So first we're going to, these are delicate, cut the puff in half. And as you can see, look at the inside. Hollow, waiting for filling. So these, if you're making a savory dish, this is when you could add some cheese, add some garlic, add some herbs. Like these, the puff alone is a great base
for a lot. Like, look how hollow this one is. That one's perfect. And as you can see, even though I cooked them on a lower amount of time, the bottom still got browned. So some of these are kind of funky shapes, and you may be confused on where to cut them. It's okay if you're not cutting them directly in the center, because you want to make sure you have a firm base to hold whatever you're going to put inside. So it's okay if you cut more towards the top and have a smaller little hat for your sandwich, or your cream puff, like this, than on the bottom. Because what will happen is all your fillings will just slide out. First, you add the cream. And I've seen a recipe before where you add a glaze as well, which is just some strawberry jam and sugar that got cooked together, but I think this is plenty flavorful just as it is. So first I'm gonna go through, add cream. If you see some, you might have to scoop the dough out of some of your puff pastries, but personally I don't mind it, so I'm just gonna leave it. Look at this guy, he's got a little hole. Gollum's cave. He got evicted.
Got snowed in.
Yep. Sorry, Gollum. Gollum would think this food is disgusting.
He would kill himself before he even got near the kitchen.
Yeah, if he hates, like, cooked meat and stuff, I'm sure, like...
Also toasty.
But you forgot the taste of bread.
Remember the first time we saw that little toasty part and we almost died?
Yep. How does Gollum sometimes have the ability to be like a cute little kitten?
That's a good question.
It's kind of freaky.
I don't think it will ever be answered.
So now it's time to put on the strawberries. So see, these have been sliced lengthwise so that they're easy to just lay them down in there. And like I said, these are definitely Hobbit-sized snacks or desserts. Feel free to make them bigger. So most recipes tell you to use about a cup of diced strawberries. I just eyeballed it, and personally I like more strawberry than cream. So feel free to modify this however you want. And they're very sloppy to eat. When you bite into them, it squirts out everywhere. However, as you can see, you don't have to be a Martha Stewart to be able to create something pretty that's also very tasty. And this is something hobbits know too.
I mean, Samwise could probably easily inhale half this plate.
Yeah. Like, I'm overloading some of these with strawberries just because they're so good. And that's the thing about this corner of the Shire, our strawberries probably run a bit large. Alright. Always sure which hat belongs to who here. It's okay. Mix and match. Now's the fun part. You get to pretend that you are above Mount Caradros. Here comes the snow! See, this is why I didn't want to put egg on top. You want them to be, like, they got snowed on, man. Saruman is trying to bring down the mountain!
Oh no!
No! He's just decorating his cream puff!
Grab the hobbits!
I love that scene because when you cut back to Saruman and they're like, wow, he's such a good magician, wow, or wizard. And I'm like, no, dude's looking at the book. Like, he's reading Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. That's how he knows where they're gonna go, into Moria. That's how he knows what's gonna happen next. I don't know why they choose not to address that in the rest of the film. All they had to do was steal his copy of the book. Look at this. Get some shots of these babies. I lied, there aren't 4 stages, there's 5. This is step 4. So as you can see, this is a summertime treat that isn't actually that difficult to assemble and make, but they look fantastic, and they are sure to wow any hobbits who you want to impress and they're delicious too. So if you make your own Samwise strawberry cream puffs, then please send us a picture at our Facebook page. And we would love to see what you did, and if you have any variations, you can add different flavors to the cream, because now you also know how to make your own homemade whipped cream. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and that it's left you a happy and hungry Hobbit. Sam would be very...
Like, he would make these for Rosie to, like, try to impress her or something.
If only our Sam were here. Alright, now...
That was almost like the end of Unexpected Journey.
What?
Your eyeball opened.
What happened? Whose eyeball opens?
Smoke!
Oh. I was gonna say, I don't remember, like, Ballin being like...
Or Bomber. Smaug. Otherwise known as a helicopter.
So,
That was a really confused look on your face. It smells like burning hamburgers.
that's leftover cheese from the lasagna I made last week. Burning in the bottom of the oven. Thank you for sharing that with the class.
They asked.
Way.
Tyson DeGrassi, when did you get here?
Neil Tyson.
Oh, thought I had it right.
So when you're cooking, really, and whenever you heat water, just know that you're actually a destroyer of the universe. It might make you feel better on a bad day.
Well, good job
When you
mentioning death once again.
When you start feeling depressed, just put a pot of water on the stove and boil. Then you'll feel like the master of the universe.
It smells like Christmas cookies.
This is what they call the epic shot.
And that little egg, that little white egg, the one that's left, that actually came from one of the hens that you met as a baby chick. That's right, she was raised by Smaug. And that's why it's small, because she's not quite all the way grown up yet. At least that's what we say, because she might feel self-conscious if she knows we're talking about her small eggs on the internet. You know, build a relationship with your oven, get to know it a little, share a little about yourself with it. For example, I don't know, what can I share with our oven?
Well, first off, it's farting out burnt lasagna, so...
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's a good starting point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry the lasagna burned. I'm sorry that some of the juice spilled over unexpectedly and I didn't clean you, now you're cooking it. I'm a strawberry, see, I'm green in my hair.
No one can- oh, there we go.
And I'm red. Probably hurt your feelings. That kind of.
But what if they don't feel free to make them bigger? What if they feel
Then I think that
trapped?
you should take some time. Just take some time to yourself and try to figure out what makes you feel so restricted in your life. Because, you know, it's good to be free to be you and me.
And now we will be Smaug going over the mountains!
I am strawberry.
Like, if you want to become 500 pounds, this is the way to do it. Well, there you have it, folks. Next time, you
Smeagol.
don't do it with fast food. Do it like this. This is what I tell my friends. When I bake stuff, I'm like, I'm gonna get fat. I'm doing it my way.
Yes. Shut up!
Don't you tell me.
Wanda! Go back to the factory. Yeah, real tricky. What?
It smells good. Okay, so.
Hey!
What's it to you? I'm dying. Are you ready?
island.